Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another riveting episode of the Gut Wrench podcast, the one and only place you will ever find entertainment as golden as this. So, in order to further prove my point with Sami Zayn, I took yet a little bit of a step further, more or less. Now, we will talk about the content that we will be talking about here in just a second, which, of course, is the AEW, you heard me correctly. We're not going to focus on WWE from 25 years ago. We're not going to focus on anything that Impact Wrestling did 8 or 10 years ago. Instead, we're going to focus on AEW, rather. Hang on, there's a fly in my room. And if I don't kill it now, it's going to bug me for the rest of my life. Alright. Here we go. It's dead. As are my hopes and dreams. To further illustrate, though, try not to get that too close to my microphone because I know that it tends to make noises for whatever reason. To further illustrate my Sami Zayn problem that I've been having, more or less, I took the liberty of making a top 5 list, seeing as though they can make a top 10 list, but I had to think, what's the one language everybody speaks? What's the one thing that everybody, no matter whether you're old, whether you're just coming into the world, and if you are just coming into the world, then congratulations. More than likely, you've been handed a golden turd on a platter. And the problem with that golden turd is you've got to turn it into actual gold, or else everyone's going to be disappointed in you. Can you tell a story without actually talking to your audience? Unfortunately, I cannot. I cannot tell you a story without actually talking to you. But you know who can? People in bands, for instance. People who make music. You can see where this is going, right? This is going in a direction where I'm basically going to be reduced to a top 5 list of underrated songs. Or, well, I don't actually know if I wouldn't say songs per se, but they are kind of musical, And, of course, this is just my opinion. Of course it is. But if you would stop for a second and actually listen to the music that I presented you with, you don't have to listen to all of it. And for that matter, if it's kind of, I get the feeling that I'm doing this and you guys are gonna force yourselves to listen to new music. It's like, hey man, you need to hear this new song that I heard. Oh yeah? Alright, I'll check it out later. And then you never check it out because why would you? Until your friend is over at your house or you're over at their house and then you're like, this is the song I was telling you about, man. And then he makes you listen to it and then he's like, it's good, right? And you're like, yeah. It's awkward, right? It's awkward. It's always awkward like that. Stuff like that, always awkward. And I'm not trying to do that to you, my audience. I'm literally not trying to do that. However, this is going to help me to illustrate a point. And for that matter, I think that I've chosen some fairly good songs. Fairly good. Listen to me. Oh yeah, they're fairly good. You've probably never even heard of like 3 of them. Because that's where I'm going with this. It's kind of underrated. And if you haven't heard of 3 out of 5 of the songs that I'm going to list, then that's 20, 40, 60% of the songs that I'm going to list here. However, if you have heard them already, then you have wonderful taste in music and congratulations. Now, under that assumption, I'm not really trying to say that if you haven't heard of them, then your music taste is terrible and, you should maybe reevaluate your life choices. But what I am saying is that great people think alike, I guess you could say. So, in that sense, anyone who thinks like Hitler, you're both great people. You get the joke that I'm kind of rolling in? You don't? Okay. Music is subjective, and on top of that, it's sort of a, you know what, I'll just go here. Okay, so a top 5 rated songs. And I'll also give you the artist, not just the songs. Number 5 is Bullet for My Valentine, Forever and Always. Now, upon first evaluation of this song, I didn't like it myself. Thought that it was too slow, and, I thought, oh, shit. I'm used to them doing, like, the screamo stuff, Like, here they come with this, like, little slow melody listening song, but then music that you relate to sort of sticks with you, sort of. So, around 2 years ago, kept going around the house, and then I kept hearing a melody in my head, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, And it was that guitar solo right there. And there's a guitar solo in this song, and it probably goes for like 4.5 minutes. I could be wrong about that. It could go for a good 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but it's so good. It's like, and you can relate to it too. It talks about a relationship between two people. He goes on to say, forget about the shit that we've been through. I want to stay here with you forever and always. You have those people in your life that, regardless of how much crap that you put them through or they put you through, if it's petty or whatever, like there might be an ex-girlfriend in your life, and then she still wants to see you happy and see you healthy and see you thrive, and regardless of what your past relationship was, she's not petty about it. It's like, I just want you to be happy, and I want to be happy. So if you was to hit the lottery, she would be like, hey, I'm happy for you, congratulations. And I can relate to that song, and it's a really, really good song. Number 4 would be Mansion. So the fucking headline for this top 5 list, and no, this isn't on my notes of wrestling that I usually put it on. Rather, it's on my notes in my phone. But number 4 is Mansion, and it's by a rapper, hip-hop artist named NF. And he's going to show up maybe one more time in this top 5. The point is that Mansion is it's sort of an ode to yourself if you overthink anything. If you've ever had insecurities, which is like all of us. If you've ever, I would just go on, you're already on Spotify. I would just say go on Spotify and listen to Mansion, because it's a beautiful song by a hip-hop rapper who was a long time ago scarred by his mother, and he wishes that he could say something to her. Most of his music, by the way, is about his mom, and that's how I found him. I can relate so much to him because my mom is the same way. She's worried about, getting high, or where her next high is going to come from. Um, all this, by the way, will be in the book that I'm writing. It's most of it, at least, not all of it. I'll try to condense some of my stories so that they're not like really long, but they still, reflect exactly what it is that I'm trying to portray. Number 3 is NF Let You Down. Now, if you've ever been a child, which most of us have, or for that matter, if you have children, and those to come up to you after, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks, or for that matter, 2 or 3 years after not even seeing them, and so much was the situation with my mom. I wouldn't see her for years, and for that matter, whenever she would show up, every child just wants their mom to be proud of them and stuff like that. So, of course, I would show her my report card from like the last semester or whatever, and then I'd be like, Mommy, look at this. Look at all the good grades that I made. And of course, in the 3rd grade, she told me that for every A that I make, like Fonzie, for every A that I make, she was going to go ahead and give me money. She was going to start by giving me, like, it's a good motivator, in my opinion. She might owe me a lot of money now because I didn't see not one dime of that. The sad fact is, every time that I got money, though, from like my dad or something, because he would send me money for my birthday, like in the mail and stuff. Whenever he would send me money, she would always stand over my shoulder and count it with me. I would ask her not to do that, but it fell on deaf ears. She's like, just keep going. And then she would ask me her next question. Can I borrow it? And I knew right then and there that I wouldn't see it again. And my dad would sometimes send me like $200, $300, $400, which is a lot of money whenever it comes to like, being a 12 or a 14-year-old little boy. Someone sends you that much money, you're like, yes, I can finally start my retirement fund. Oh, shit. But it's called Let You Down, and it's by NF, and basically it tells the story of a kid who always tried to please their parents, but they were always never impressed by not a damn thing that their child would do. And it's an emotional song. I wouldn't say the first time, but about the 5th or 6th time that I listened to it, I honestly cried. And you guys know that I never cry. I'm a man. I mean, look at my chest hair, Like, I'm as manly as they come. A top 5 list of men, I'm number 1. The number 2 spot goes to 3 Doors Down, Life of My Own. And it's off of their first album. I could recite it word from word, but I'll just give you the beginning notes to it. It's honestly the music that shines in this song. It's not really the vocals from an artist, and his name is Brad Arnold. You should really look him up. 3 Doors Down. It has a rhyme scheme to it. That's all that I'm going to say. So it's easy to sort of keep up with, but the beginning of the song goes, living risky, never scared, one closer to the edge. Feel no value, have no fear, always wondering why you're here. Higher purpose says I've gone, nothing's right, nothing's wrong. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Feel no sorrow, feel no pain. Kiss me while I'm still alive. Kill me while I kiss the sky. Sounds like he's ripping off Jimi Hendrix, but he's not. Well, I kiss the sky. You would basically have to listen to it because I don't want to get copyright strike from anyone else. Like, has it already happened? No. But am I afraid that it's going to happen? Yes. I'm basically on a music app, and I'm talking about music, even though I'm a wrestling guru, if you will. Wrestling guru. I can't call myself a wrestling god because, John Bradshaw Layfield, Moose, New Jacks. Nonetheless, that was Three Doors Down, and that was number 2 in my countdown. Number 1 is NF once again. And he's got this song called Oh Lord. And I can also give you the beginning of that one. So, without further ado, he says, don't waste the money on my gravestone. I don't care where. Let me think. What does he say? Can you see us down here? Oh, Lord. It's easy to blame God, but harder to fix things. We look at the sky like, why ain't you listening? Watching the news in the living rooms and the television screens talking about if God's really real and where is he? You see, the same God that we say might not even exist becomes real to us, but only when we're dying in bed. When you're healthy, it's like we don't really care for him, man. Leave me alone, God. I'll call you when I need you again. But basically, he's talking about the fact that how people use God and then they wonder, why is God not around all the time? Where was God whenever I needed him most? No, you're a Christian. You only use God whenever he is convenient for you. God is a scapegoat for whenever you need something, and then you need an anonymous answer as to why you did or did not get it. And then whenever you don't get it, you constantly say, oh well, God works in mysterious ways, which is a shallow way of thinking. And a shallow way of trying to explain your religion. Nonetheless, I'm sorry for that overly outdrawn intro. As a matter of fact, I didn't do my intro. I don't remember introducing myself for this episode. Hello everyone, I'm 18 minutes in. My name is Mocha. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about other things other than Sami Zayn and my taste in music. Which, if I say so myself, honestly, the best song on here, though, as far as underratedness goes, even though I put Oh Lord as number 1 from NF, number 4, Mansion by NF. That song's made me cry like 4 or 5 times. And you guys know me. I'm a manly man. I'm a man's man. I don't cry. Bring a tear to this eye? I mean, you must be, you must have some good pussy. Shut up. We're going to be looking at AEW Rampage. Like I said, we're not going to be looking at anything from Impact Wrestling from 8 or 10 years ago. We're not going to be looking at WWE from 14 or 15 years ago. And next week, we'll be looking at a pay-per-view from AEW. Yay! Even though I'm a week behind. See, I meant to download this the day that it happened. So, had I would have downloaded it 8 hours earlier, I would have probably been watching it right now instead of recording this. And what I mean by watching it right now is this wouldn't be on right now. I would be watching it, and then I would have not 1 page, not 2 pages, not 3 pages, not even 4. I would possibly have at least 2 or 3 more pages. At least 3 more pages, as a matter of fact. More than likely at least 3 pages. But this is AEW Rampage from last week. Last month. Holy crap. Because we're now getting into the June month. Kinda sucks. You know, I like June, but I hate, like, after June it's July, and after July it's August. The beginning of August is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it's the end of August that I'm worried about, because then the rain starts. Then I'm going to try so hard not to let the weather interfere with my upload schedule, because I literally have to walk to Walmart in order to get this to upload, because I don't have internet, unfortunately. It's okay, though. Sufficient enough internet connection isn't going to stop me from bringing you guys a lot of valuable content. We're going to be looking at AEW Rampage from 5/13/22. Death Triangle, Penta Jr., Pac, almost called him Cap because I was reading it backwards. Pac and Rey Fenix is making his return, by the way, from a arm injury. The Butcher and the Blade and Mark Quinn versus Death Triangle, Penta Jr., Pac, and Rey Fenix. Jericho's Sports Entertainers of the Week is the Butcher and the Blade. Okay, so the reason that I put this down on my notes here is because Chris Jericho is either doing this unironically or he's doing this ironically. Because Jericho's talked about time and time again how sports entertainment is like something that needs to die, you know? Wrestling is what he wants. He's an executive producer, in case you don't know. Like, Chris Jericho is the equivalent right now to what Shane McMahon was in the WWE. Practically an executive producer, someone that they'll look at and then they'll say, okay, Chris, I have a question about the match that's coming up. He thinks he should hit me with a steel chair, but I think that I should duck the steel chair and then roll him up and put my feet on the ropes out of the referee's view and then get the 3 count. And then Chris will say, okay, I got an idea. How about you spit mist in his face, you pull out the brass knucks while the referee's not looking, and then you deck him in the face with the brass knuckles. And then this other guy comes in, distracts the referee, and then this other guy comes in and hits him with a taser. And then after that, you pin him. Just make sure that you pin him. Whenever you pin him, you're hanging on to your something rubber so that he doesn't shock you. But we're going to punish him. You know, Chris Jericho basically is someone who they look to for direction. But this is funny. Chris Jericho's Sports Entertainers of the Week is the Butcher and the Blade. I gave the match itself, though, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Lots of high-flying action going on. And after Death Triangle wins, the lights go out, right? The whole arena is nothing but dark, which reminded me, of course, of what The Undertaker used to do to his opponents. Whenever the lights would go out, all of a sudden you would hear that almost said anonymous, holy crap, all of a sudden you would hear that ominous, not anonymous, you would hear that ominous dong, and then The Undertaker's image would flash on the Titantron screen, and then the lights would come back on. But see, whenever The Undertaker would do it, the lights would come back on immediately, and then The Undertaker would already be in the ring. Now, I kind of counted. It took House of Black, whenever they came. I know that we've talked about House of Black before, or at least we've talked about Aleister Black. I hope I didn't break any nearby windows by saying his name. And now Aleister Black is Malachi Black. And Malachi Black is this ominous figure that just shows up, and he's so good. Why is he only wrestling in pay-per-views? I'll never know. But I guess it's just a reputation thing. I mean, big guys like that always wrestle at the pay-per-views, and they always don't have to go to the house shows. And, you know, on top of that, Malachi Black's got these other two guys, Buddy Williams and Brody King, and they're almost as big as he is. Especially Brody King. He looks like he's maybe 285 pounds. He could be like a football linebacker. But, you know, I don't want to talk about football. Football sucks. This is a challenge to any football podcasters out there. You can't beat me in the ratings war. I can't wait to hear about what they've got to say over on Twitter. Yeah, they probably won't say anything. They probably won't say nothing. But anyway, the lights go out. They come back on, and then they go out again. Whenever they come back on, though, for that short moment, it was like 5 seconds. You see Aleister Black. I'm sorry. I need to stop saying that. I don't want to break any windows. You see Malachi Black. You see Buddy Williams, and you see Brody King. And then Malachi says something, almost like he moves his mouth a little bit. And then the lights go out again. Whenever they go out, this time, Malachi's not there. Buddy Williams, he's gone. And Brody King, he's gone. Anyway, this match was really, really good. Some people would be like, okay, what was your favorite part of it? You know? Like, my favorite part was whenever Mark Quinn got his ass kicked by Pac. Because Pac is a firecracker, man. Hard to keep up with. Okay, so then they go into this whole segment about MJF. What's his fucking name? I know that I got it written down here somewhere. Holy crap. This is like the fucking YouTube video I did where I forgot Chris Sabin's name, and I almost forgot his name again. So, Wardlow has to take 10 lashes from MJF. Timeout. You know, scratch the record. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure I've heard this somewhere else. Because in his build-up to his match against Cody Rhodes had to take 10 lashes before he was able to face off against MJF. Why does Wardlow have to do the same thing that Cody Rhodes did? I don't know if Tony Khan knows this or not, but he's kind of keeping WWE relevant by allowing people, like now whenever they go on Google, they're going to look up 10 lashes, and then they're going to look up, like, they won't look up Cody, probably, if they're looking for AEW content. But now that Cody's working for WWE, in case Tony Khan didn't know it, he's inadvertently helping his competition. You're not supposed to do the thing that, like, you'd already had Cody Rhodes take 10 lashes whenever that happened, you know? Holy crap, we're halfway through and I'm only on the first page. You know, I got a lot to talk about. I'm sorry. Shut up. So, and apparently, not only that, but also Shawn Spears will face Wardlow in a steel cage match. MJF will be the referee of that steel cage match. They're trying to stack the deck so much against Wardlow. because they act like MJF is afraid of Wardlow when he has no reason to be afraid of Wardlow. Yeah, he's a big boy. I mean, was he like 320 pounds? I'm going to go on to the next match. Bear Boulder faces off against Shawn Spears. And yes, we will look at that cage match. Don't worry, we'll get to it. I watched it too. 1 out of 10 stars. Holy crap, why did I say 10? 1 out of 5 stars. I'm not rating these on a 10-star scale because we're not in Japan. In Japan, they actually do that. They rate matches out of 10. Which, I mean, really, if you reduce it, like, let's say that I was to give a match 8 out of 10 stars, reduced is only 4 out of 5 stars. I mean, if you think about it, you know, it's the same rating, pretty much the same rating. But anyway, Bear Boulder goes up against Shawn Spears, the chairman, Shawn Spears, which I feel like is a knock at Vince McMahon, because, you know, I'm the chairman, I'm Vince McMahon, damn it, you will listen to me, you know. Which I feel like Cartman in South Park made fun of too. You will respect my authority. We get a 10 chant. So, over in WWE, once again, I'm not trying to insult the wrestling viewers who already know this, already know that, but some people don't know this, who listen to my podcast. So I'm trying to let them in on a consistent basis so that the next time that I say it, maybe they'll know. But Shawn Spears, in case you don't know, used to be known as the Perfect 10. And he was over as hell over in WWE. Everyone practically loved him. And it still pains me today. Not like, who is Shawn Spears? Where's Ty Dillinger? You know, this is stupid. Where's Ty Dillinger? That's who I know you as. And the funny thing is, he used to come out and he was the Perfect 10. So, he had this man, Bear Boulder, in a corner, and he was doing a move that's commonly known as the 10 punch, where the crowd actually joins in. 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 punch, 4 punch, 5 punch, 6 punch, 7 punch, 8 punch, 9 punch, and then they'll come down for that 10th punch, and then they'll punch them really hard, and then they'll jump off, and the crowd will kind of go crazy for it whenever they do that. Nonetheless, this match against him and Bear Boulder was already in the ring whenever they came back from commercial, and I'm saying commercial because I downloaded a what's that called? A torrent, and I watched it commercial free. Yes, that's right. I downloaded a torrent, and I can do that. It's legal. Don't worry. So, you know, it wasn't anything illegal that I did download. You can share torrents and you can download them, but see, the illegal part is when you put them on a flash drive and you charge people money to come and see the illegal movie, or for that matter, let's say that I was to put it on a flash drive and then go down to whatchamacallit's house and either sell it to him or tell him that he can watch it, you know, for free because I'm distributing, or for that matter, if I wasn't to put it on a flash drive at all, if I was to put a CD in my computer, which I can't do, I don't know why, pretty sure I can't put a CD in here. I don't see an eject button, and I haven't been taught how to do that. It's a Mac, so I'm almost certain that I can't. I haven't figured out how to, if I can. Anyway, not the point. If I was to burn it onto a CD and then give it to whatchamacallit down the street, it would be illegal. The Owen Hart quarterfinals as Riho faces off against Ruby Soho. I'm gonna be 100 with you guys. I don't like Ruby Soho all that much. She's a fantastic wrestler. And for that matter, it's not that I've seen her before. It's not, I guess, not my style. She's not very outspoken, and I don't like that, like, where's her... Wrestlers commonly have something known as a gimmick. A gimmick is something that either puts them over or gets them to... The worst ones are hard to work with, like the Duke the Dumpster Man gimmick, or Isaac Yankem. The worst ones are like the job application ones, like wherever you look like you just come into work and, like, I do taxes for a living, like IRS, Even though that was kind of his shtick. Or the $1 Million Man, for instance, who was all about money. The worst ones are the ones that you can't really see in a wrestling setting, but sometimes they make them work. And I feel like Ruby Soho is really lacking in the personality department. Riho disapproves of Ruby's theme music as she's coming out. Riho puts her fingers in her ear as to signify that, turn this garbage off. And another thing that keeps happening to me, I'll work at the Walmart, right? And I can't hear it whenever I'm inside the building, but I have this inept, this bad timing, if you will. So bad that every time that I'm outside, and I don't know why people do this, but if you're listening and you're someone who does this, please don't do this. Turn up your fucking stereo in your car as if to make a boom, boom, boom noise. And shake and earthquake the entire front street that I'm walking on. It is extremely hard not to pull you out of your fucking car and just wipe my ass cheeks on you, because you are the most disgusting human being. I don't care if you're black, I don't care if you're white, I don't care if it's heavy metal music, country music, or if it's fucking rap and hip-hop music. It is disgusting, it is nasty, it is called noise pollution, people. It is unnecessary atop all that. Some of the most vile fucking people. Okay, after that, we get a segment from Billy Gunn and the Gun Club. And for whatever reason, they took a knock again at WWE. And Billy Gunn's old occupation, if you will, he wants to think of something original, something that's going to blow the crowd away or something like that. He ends up saying, one of the guys in the Gun Club raises their hand and then they're saying, "I know, Daddy, I know." And then he goes, "Yes." And then he goes, "What if we took our hands and we made like palms?" He says, "Okay, I'm following you." And then he says, "And then what if we put them over our crotch, as if to signify the crotch chop, which was so famous back when Billy Gunn was over in WWE. He said, "Shut up. We're not doing that." And then Billy Gunn said, "I need a catchphrase." And then he said, "I know, Daddy, I know." And then Billy Gunn ends up shutting down his son again because he said, "What if we said, we got 2 words for you?" And he said, "Don't you say that. Don't you dare say that." He's like, "I was looking for something original." And then we get possibly the best match of the night. But it's bogged down by interference. But, I mean, we basically got 2 wrestling matches. I didn't notice that. We only got 3 wrestling matches. And the rest of it was nothing but shtick. But it's alright. It's alright. It was a fairly decent match. Our main event here was the TNT Championship match. Scorpio Sky versus Frankie Kazarian. Because they are honestly... fun factoid before I go any further. They were the tag team champions. And they won the tag team titles at a house show in Charleston, West Virginia. Is what they said. So, shout out to Charleston, West Virginia. So here's the thing. We talked about Chris Jericho before, right? We're going to talk about him a little bit more here in just a second. A TNT Championship match. Scorpio Sky, the champion, faced off against Frankie Kazarian, and I thought it was a fairly good match, but it was boggled down by something that was the interference. Now, if Scorpio Sky wasn't to have his buddies come in, this would have honestly been a perfect 5 out of 5 star match that wasn't about like heel versus face. It was about respect. Scorpio Sky at the opening of the match made it very clear to both Dan Lambert and All Ego Ethan Page not to interfere on the match, basically telling them to stay in the back, that they've got no business being out there, that it's between him and Frankie Kaz, and he's basically going to show him respect in the purest competition form. They go to shake hands. They put on a banger of a wrestling match. And this goes back to what I said earlier. At the start of this program, can you tell a story without actually talking to your audience? That's exactly what these two did. Regardless of all of the interference from Dan Lambert and All Ego Ethan Page, what had happened was Scorpio is kind of like the 2009 thing that we saw with Christopher Daniels and Suicide, where the referee was distracted by Chris Sabin, and then Sabin's partner Shelly comes into the match while Christopher Daniels was outside the ring, and he wasn't really like aware of what was happening. And Alex Shelley went ahead and put the dirty moves on Suicide while the referee was outside the ring tending to someone else. Chris Sabin, to be quite frank. And then whenever Chris Sabin got done hugging the referee, like you can see his mouth move, he says, "All I wanted was a hug." And then whenever Sabin gets a hug from the referee goes into the match unaware of what just happened, as was Christopher Daniels. And then Daniels goes for the pin, 1, 2, 3, and then he sees the replay and he realizes what happened. I just screwed this man out of his title. The same exact thing. I didn't mean to say same exact twice. The same exact thing happened here between Kaz and Scorpio Sky, where Sky didn't exactly see what happened to Frankie Kaz. All ego Ethan Page. I keep wanting to call him Athens Page, and I don't know why. All ego Adam Page. That's not his name. Let's run it back, ladies and gentlemen. I swear to God, I don't know who writes these notes. All ego Ethan Page hits Frankie Kaz with a title belt while the referee's paying attention to Dan Lambert. And on top of that, Scorpio Sky goes to pin Frankie Kaz. Kaz kicks out. And then Scorpio hits him with a move. I forget what move he hit him with. And I'm pretty sure that was the end of the match. And afterwards, Sky's looking over at Kaz. He wants a handshake, but he won't have any of it. Kazarian doesn't want to shake this man's hand. And with, he basically points at his two tag team partners, and he says, he hit me with the belt, was you in on this or whatever? He's like, hey, I told you to stay backstage. He's like, I thought you were out here to support me. He's like, and then what happened was kind of shocking. I mean, I didn't see it coming because I thought that it was a match about respect. I didn't realize that these two former tag team partners were, and that's storytelling right there. You take two people who have a history together and you make them turn their backs on each other, because Scorpio Sky, almost without hesitation, turns around, sees Frankie Kazarian on his knees from a wrestling match that was a well-fought victory from Scorpio Sky that was boggled down a little bit, more or less, by a whole bunch of, I guess, just interference that I wasn't expecting to see, if I'm being honest. But it was a swerve the entire time. Sky hits Kazarian with the title belt, and he basically picks up a microphone, and then he says that, hey, I was in on it the entire time. Next we go to 5/25/22. An episode of Dynamite, I'm pretty sure, because this was Rampage. So an episode of Dynamite where a cage match takes place with MJF as your referee. Shawn Spears faces off against Wardlow. 4 out of 5 stars. For whatever reason, they put a restriction on this cage match where if you escape the cage, which is so stupid, where you escape the cage, it doesn't matter, because this has to be won by pinfall or submission. Over the years, we've seen the cage match evolve. It went from this big looking, almost like steel structure with like 7 or 8 bars vertically and like 12 or 18 bars horizontally. And that's it. Now it's went from like this almost like fence, like that you would fence your yard in with. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was very entertaining. Especially seeing MJF get not only his ass kicked, he doesn't really deserve it. I'm not going to say something like that, but he also got hit with a chair, which once again he didn't deserve. The most entertaining part of the match was after the match, whenever all this security, for whatever reason, there's just boggles and boggles of security guards. They just start falling like dominoes. And the whole wrestling is fake type thing. Well, this kind of got enforced here. I hate to be the person to say that, wrestling is fake. They made it extremely obvious here that they weren't really going for any sort of... I would understand if all the security guards came in at one time. Or for that matter, one at a time, one of them would have took Wardlow down, and the other one would have like tried to get on him and at least put up a halfway decent fight. But no, that's not what happened. One by one, each security guard comes into the cage, and they just almost like Wardlow's hand is a magnet, and they all have a steel plate in their head. That's all that he was doing, was practically just swinging his fist, and they were just walking right into it, and then just falling over, and then just walking right into it, and then just falling over, like a house of cards or a dominoes effect. Well, we get a shades of Austin and McMahon in the cage, because commentary mentions the fact that Wardlow cannot hit MJF. There was a cage match back in early 2000, late 1999 that said that Steve Austin cannot hit Vince McMahon. I know a lot of you are thinking, how can Steve Austin win a cage match if he can't hit Vince McMahon? Basically, it was to take out Austin's arsenal of punching moves, because a lot of his offense at the time was nothing more than punches. There's even a part in the match wherever Austin Irish whips Vince McMahon toward the ropes, and then he goes for that Lou Thesz press that he's famous for, and then he rears back to almost like punch Vince McMahon in the head because of the punches that he does after he does the Lou Thesz press, and then he stops himself. I'm not sure what he does after that, but I remember that distinct moment. Austin had to stop himself, and then JR on commentary saying, "Don't do it, you'll be fired." And then we get a shades of Brad Maddox being the referee of a steel cage match, which was a Hell in a Cell match, but still classified as a steel cage match, where Brad, back then, it was like 2010, Brad Maddox was the official referee of this match, and he was apparently like a new referee. I want to put that in air quotes because I'd never heard of him up until this point. Cool, they hired a new referee. Cool. It was work the entire time, because whenever CM Punk got into the cage against Ryback, a man who probably, oh my God, like nasty. He was undefeated, I think, at this time. They were building Ryback to be this monster who couldn't be stopped. 275 pounds of pure dominance. I mean, one of his arms probably weighs 100 pounds alone. Jason Ryback. Straight out of college, he played football. Like, the man's fast and he's powerful. Now he does a podcast, believe it or not. It's funny. It's funny because he talks a lot about WWE and their mishaps, and he makes a lot of claims, and I mean like a lot. One claim that he made said that, and I know that I'm getting off subject here, but he's got some funny content. One claim that he made said that the Shield was actually his idea, which isn't true at all. The Shield was a group of 3 men. Once again, I'm not doing this because it's just to inform people who don't know, okay? It's not to insult your all's intelligence or for stalling for time or anything, because I've got a lot to get through. This might go over an hour. The Shield was a group of 3 men: Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. And they dominated the wrestling world, or at least the WWE, the number one wrestling company in the world at that time, for like 2 or 3 years. And anyway, Brad Maddox, in that infamous Hell in a Cell match that we might even look at, because Hell in a Cell is actually coming up, believe it or not. So I'll see if 2010 was the right year or whatever. I guess we could give it a shot. Brad Maddox, apparently the story was that Maddox made the decision to low blow the titular Ryback in the middle of him performing his finishing maneuver against one CM Punk. So, and that's what happens. Wardlow gets low blowed by MJF, the titular referee. Shades of Brad Maddox low blowing Ryback is what I meant to say. Also, the Austin McMahon thing. Wardlow can't put his hands on MJF, who is the referee. Jericho, as I said before, we're going to talk about him now. Apparently, he's watched a little bit too much Wizard of Oz. He walks around backstage. He sees this guy who's wearing a Jon Moxley t-shirt. And then he tells him, Jon Moxley, you mean to tell me that you're a Jon Moxley fan? Huh? You can't be a Jon Moxley fan. He said, or else you'll eat a fireball. All of a sudden, I don't know where it came from. There's just like this ball of fire that just shows up, burns this guy's eyebrows right off. He just screams for his life. He's like, ah! And then he just curls up into a ball as like Jericho's berating him and telling him, you can't be a Jon Moxley fan. Who do you think you are? I'm Chris Jericho, god damn it. He's like looking at him. Well, this man's like in the fetal position. And then he's like, you can't be a Jon Moxley fan. I'm Chris Jericho. I'm a wizard. He literally says he's a wizard. Then we go to our next match, which is Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, Private Party, facing off against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And Jericho's on commentary. He says, pro wrestling sucks. Sports entertainment is the way to go. Okay. Once again, this is Jericho being unironic, right? Because I can't tell whether or not he's serious or whether or not, is he being ironic or is he being unironic? It's so hard to tell. Oh my God, wow. This man is playing with my emotions. He's so good at what he does. Oh my God. Like, sports entertainment is just the politically correct way of saying professional wrestling. And on top of that, if you've ever watched a professional wrestling match and then went back and watched I'm going to put this in air quotes, sports entertainment match, you know the difference. The difference is 1 star out of 5 versus 5 stars out of 5. Oh my God. Okay. And I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Honestly, I've seen Private Party do better. And for that matter, I've seen Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston do a lot better too. I can't remember whether there was interference in this match or not. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston basically wiped the floor with Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy of Private Party. And, you know, when you're building a team to make them look good, and whenever you're jobbing against another team, you really should try to make yourself and make the other guys look as good as possible. And I feel like Private Party really failed at that. Like, they didn't make themselves look good in this match right here. Like I said, I've seen them do better. And especially facing off against someone who would leave a lasting impression on your career. Someone like Jon Moxley, who has been ranked number 1 in the world, been the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion multiple times. And for that matter, has put on banger after banger after banger in almost all of the matches that he does. Is win a half a year. This man went a half a year undefeated. I don't know if that really, you know, like, was that relevant? He went a half a year undefeated. Oh, so cool. They were booking him right. You know, a lot of you are like, oh yeah, well, it must be really easy to go a half a year undefeated in a professional wrestling company, or rather, a sports entertainment company. You get where I'm coming from, right? It's the whole, hey, wrestling's not real, so you shouldn't talk about it like it is. 6 months undefeated in a fake sport, that's not an accomplishment. Like, I feel like a lot of you are saying that, so if you are saying that, imagine the work that had to go into someone consistently winning over a 6-month stretch, or 6 to 8 months. I'm not sure how long he went undefeated, but really not the point that I'm trying to drive home. And by the way, I don't own a vehicle, so I don't even know how I'm going to drive home. Next, we get Roppongi Vice. Holy crap. Facing off against the champions, FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Hardwood. FTR. So for those of you who don't know what FTR stands for, obviously it's an inside joke. Obviously it's a Twitter inside joke. Back when Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood were working for WWE, they were known as the Revival. I can't remember what their names were, though. That eludes me. But back whenever they were the Revival, they were putting on great tag team wrestling. And they still are to this day. As you can see, they are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. A fact that Justin Roberts won't let you forget. Roppongi Vice, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero. Here's the thing that gets me. Trent Beretta is in like 3 staples already. So tell me in a universe where it makes sense, where Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, Roppongi Vice. If Trent Beretta had to choose between Roppongi Vice, Best Friends, and Just Friends, I wonder which one that he would go with. If I'm right, Trent Beretta is in 3 factions. He's in this one with Rocky Romero, he's in another one with Orange Cassidy, and he's in another one with Chuck Taylor. Once again, this brings up a question. What if Best Friends, which is made up of 3 people but can sometimes be represented by 2 people, what if Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, and Trent Beretta were to face off against Roppongi Vice, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta? Where would Trent Beretta's loyalty lie, It's always a bad idea to join more than one group in a professional wrestling company. Unless you have a good reason. Unless you plan on double-crossing the other group. Or it's a part of a bigger story. And, maybe they want you to be a part of that group. Anyway, Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood play to their strengths in this match. They basically put on a clinic of tag team wrestling. Whenever they take Rocky Romero and they just demolish this kid. They make sure that there is no tags, there is no friends coming to help him. Classic clinic tag team wrestling. Now, the best part about those types of wrestling matches is you only see it with the best of tag team wrestling. So what you want to do is you want to isolate your opponent. And then you want to make sure that their partner can't get to them. Their partner's going to be frustrated. The referee's going to look the other way a lot. The referee is basically going to be looking over at that frustrated partner almost all the time and is going to be too distracted to understand what's happening in the corner where you're isolating their opponent. Their best friend is basically on an island where two guys are beating the fuck out of him. Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood do exactly that in this match for a majority of it. Until Rocky Romero makes a tag. But nonetheless, they come away still champions, if I remember correctly. And FTR stands for Fuck the Revival. Their old wrestling tag team name, The Revival, back in WWE. And on Twitter, someone once said, "Fuck the Revival." And then they were like, yeah. I mean, they were playing along with the entire time. They were like, glad to see that you like us, you know? Like, a nod and a wink. It's hard to get mad at someone's opinion, I guess. But I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Was tag team wrestling. No, it really wasn't tag team wrestling at its finest. In one way it was, you know, because they kind of isolated their opponent. In another way, it wasn't all that entertaining to watch. Ricky Starks versus Scott Strickland versus Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is one half of the tag team champions. What they're doing here is they're trying to give you an idea as to what we're going to be looking at next week. A triple threat tag team, what they call a trios match, but it's really not a trios match. 'Cause if it was, then there would be singles competitors. Well, this is a trios match, what we're going to look at, but the tag team tandem that we're going to be looking at next week is not a trios match. One person from each team basically representing to basically give you an idea as to what it's going to be like whenever Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have to contend not against one team, not against 2 teams like at Revolution, but 3 teams. Oh, yeah. They're just going to have to deal with 2 teams. Holy shit. They won't have to deal with 3 teams. Forget what I said. I was counting them as one of the teams. They're the champions. So, once again, it's going to be like Red Dragon and a Super Kick Party. You know, like we talked about at Revolution. Ricky Starks brings out this FTW championship belt. It's hard to get behind that whenever that's an irrelevant title, you know? It's really hard to say, hey, you know, I brought out this championship that my mentor gave me from the days whenever he was in his prime. I guess I'm holding it now, you know, like, and he barely ever defends it. Like, in order to make a championship mean something, you're going to have to defend it consistently on a consistent week to week to week to week basis in order to make it mean something. Otherwise, you're what's called a, say it with me, ladies and gentlemen, paper champion. If you're a paper champion, that's a really bad thing. This is something that I also covered in my Sami Zayn video over on YouTube. The name of that video is Not a Bad Light, where Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental Championship, and I was trying to tell you all that he wasn't going to go anywhere with it. And what do you know? You want to know what the ironic part about that is? The first man to ever win the Intercontinental Championship died like 2 days before Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental Championship. 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days before Sami ever won the Intercontinental Championship. And I was making a joke about it. I said that Pat Patterson's rolling in his grave right now, because it's what kind of happens. So if he was looking to bring another story element, is my point, to this trios match that we're going to talk about, he did it the wrong way. Like, you don't bring back an irrelevant championship. Irrelevant championship. A championship is only as relevant as the champion who holds the belt. Anyway, I give it 3 out of 5 stars. This one was honestly really, really good. A human highlight reel goes to Strickland. Scott Swerve Strickland is honestly one of the better lightweight people that you will see in AEW, All Elite Wrestling. That's what I love about it. Scott Strickland, Swerve, was honestly on his A game, because there's this one part where Jungle Boy goes for an avalanche, Canadian destroyer. This man, Swerve Strickland, lands on his fucking feet. And you can see the look on Jungle Boy's face when he looks over at Swerve, who just, I guess, swerved him in a way. And JR on commentary, whenever he lands on his feet from a avalanche Canadian destroyer, he ends up just, whose house? Swerve's house. Okay. I guess that's all the Poppy needs. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, faces off against Toni Storm. And Storm has never looked good. She was 5-0 coming into this match. Unfortunately, she did lose. But you see, the story of this, it's all about Owen Hart. The Owen Hart Foundation and this beautiful tournament that they put together. And throughout the match, throughout both matches actually, it's a double main event. Throughout the match, they're talking about Owen Hart and the impact that he's had on wrestling and wrestling fans, and they mention Martha Hart. They mention, if you don't know what happened to Owen Hart, you know, if you're not a wrestling fan, but you tend to tune in to my podcast every week, he basically died due to a faulty wire and accident that unfortunately took his life. What many feel was a little bit too soon. At the beginning of this program, I said, you guys know me, I don't cry. And now it sounds like that I'm tearing up, I know. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Toni Storm. And I feel like the wrong person won here. No disrespect to Britt Baker, honestly, because she's a wonderful competitor, but I feel as though that if Toni Storm, you know, if she would have won, that there would have been a lot more story, a lot more motivation, you know, because they were talking about, like, her debut, they were talking about how she had won so many other tournaments. She had won so many other tournaments in the UK, in Australia. She won the Australian Open Cup, professional wrestling's, apparently, cup or something like that. They were talking about how she won. They mentioned like 3 or 4 tournaments the day that she made her debut in the company. And then I was like, oh, okay, so they're probably going to strap the rocket to Toni Storm. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Well, that was a swerve. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, a decent match. And I would have given it 4 out of 5, but it had interference. Yeah, bet we're noticing a trend here, huh? Well, not every match had interference, you know. I guess they do it when it's appropriate, or when they feel it's appropriate. Yeah, I try not to rate a wrestling match for everything that happens after the fact. Sam Joe, the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, faces off against Kyle O'Reilly. in what was a wonderful, beautiful match. Because they both play to each other's strengths, believe it or not. Kyle O'Reilly kept targeting the arm of Samoa Joe, and every time that Sam Joe would get any sort of offense, Kyle O'Reilly would just shut him down and twist and twerk on that arm all the time. I don't mean twerk, No, he's not. He's torquing it. Torquing, not really twerking on his arm. He's like beating it with everything that he has. You can see Joe getting physically drained too. Like the big man, 310 pounds is what they say on commentary. Holy crap. I feel like Samoa Joe should be like a linebacker for like an NFL team or whatever. But once again, we're not going to talk about football because football sucks. Say it with me, everyone. Football sucks. Samoa Joe, Kyle O'Reilly have such great strengths because they can play off of each other. Samoa Joe is a submission specialist. He's great at technical wrestling. He's great at grappling. He's wonderful whenever it comes to striking game. And you see him just wailing into Kyle O'Reilly and using that size advantage. And you would figure that a man that big wouldn't be able to move that fast. He's like a bumblebee, this Samoa Joe, because a bumblebee is scientifically not supposed to be able to fly. Because they theorize that its wings are too short for its body. Its body's too fat for its short wingspan. But bumblebees constantly, on a consistent basis, are able to make it back to their hive and do whatever it is bumblebees do. And Kyle O'Reilly too. He's a wonderful striker. He's a great high flyer, as is Samoa Joe. He's wonderful submission specialist. I'm surprised that they didn't, like, if O'Reilly would have won and went on next week to face Adam Cole, I'm surprised that they didn't do that rather than Samoa Joe Adam Cole, which is what's going to happen like Friday, I think. Holy crap, that's tonight. Tonight's Friday. Well, you're listening to this on Saturday, but it's Friday basically. For me. So we might have a chance to look at Samoa Joe and Adam Cole after it happens, provided that no friends of mine give me spoilers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all the time that I have for you, and I gave this match 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good, and I feel as though that I've went over my hour time limit, a subjective amount enough time. And thank you all so much for listening. I should have said this at the beginning of the program so that, like, now that it's the end of the program, you guys have no reason to listen any further. But if you're feeling generous, please use one of the donation links. It probably won't be below this link, at least not right now. It might be in the near future. But if you can donate to me and help grow this platform, help grow my cause, then your donations are extremely appreciated. I keep asking people, how can I, improve this platform? And the only advice that I keep getting is, you should ask for donations. And then I'm like, okay, but what else should I do? And then they're like, you should ask for donations. No feedback, just ask for donations. thank you all so much, and have a great weekend. Have a great morning. Have a great Saturday, Sunday. I personally hate Saturday, but just because I hate Saturday doesn't mean that you have to. Because it's Saturday, and you know what that means. Another banger of a podcast episode.